Hello guys, in this video we're going to be talking about will the red wave happen? Will the Republicans sweep the Democrats out of government in the Senate and the House and in the governor elections? So we're starting off with the Senate map here. Now I did a Senate video like 2 or 3 days ago. So far Republicans have gained a lot of momentum since then, especially with the Pennsylvania debate and Oz winning it. I mean, pretty much everyone agrees that Oz won that debate, including me. I watched it, and Fetterman did not perform that well, and I really think he should not have debated at all. I think that he could have excused it pretty easily. He could have just said it would be unfair to him, especially after the stroke. And we saw Katie Hobbs not do debates. It only hurt her a little bit electorally, but that debate probably definitely hurt Fetterman a decent amount. Definitely enough to maybe even change the outcome of that election. So we're going to start off with Iowa. Iowa, at this point, it's going to be solid red, and the Republicans really don't have to worry about it anymore. Even though that Seltzer poll did put some doubts into people's minds, including myself. We've seen some other polls that show me Grassley's pretty much up at 10 or 11 points, and I think those undecideds are going to swing with him. So he's going to carry that by a safe margin. And Rubio down in Florida, it's no longer likely. Rubio's going to pull off an over 10% victory. The early voting is showing strong indications that Democrats aren't turning out just as much. They only have a 3% lead in terms of early voting and mail-in voting combined, basically, Democrats. So, and that's not even including independents that may as well be probably voting Republican. Rubio is going to be cruising an easy 10% victory in Florida. In North Carolina, it's looking like it's pretty much most polls show Bud up by 3 or 4 points. And you factor in those undecideds, he's probably winning by about 5. In Ohio, Vance, the most recent poll shows him with 3 to 4% lead. I mean, some show him with only a 1% lead. But again, you add up those undecideds, he's probably going to win by a likely margin here. I say Vance would probably win by about 5.5%, about the same margin that Bud will win by in North Carolina. In Wisconsin, Ron Johnson's probably going to pull off a 3 to 4% victory, just under likely. I do think some polls showing him up by 5. I'm not sure if that would really happen. I mean, he is a very far-right candidate for the state of Wisconsin, but Mandela Barnes has been painted as someone very radical in Wisconsin, so that's really benefiting Ron Johnson here, which is why he's probably going to win by about 3 or 4 points, I would say. Now, in New Hampshire, the race has narrowed a bit. The Republicans have gained a bit of momentum. Some polls, one of the polls here showed the Democrat only up by 3. Republican inside polling only shows the Democrat up by 1. So the race has shifted a tiny bit here in New Hampshire, and that red wave is slowly forming throughout these Senate races. You see a lot of shifts in North Carolina, Ohio, and even Pennsylvania, which as of right now, I think Oz would probably be ahead. But we haven't seen polls come out for the debate yet, or at the time I'm recording this, which is yesterday, I hadn't seen any polls that showed Oz gaining on Fetterman yet. But I expect they're going to show that, especially with how Oz pretty much handily won that debate last night. Now, in the state of Georgia, I still think Warnock has a slight edge because I do think it's going to be going to a runoff just because all the scandals around Herschel Walker is definitely going to drag him down in this state. But he could really bank on that Kemp pretty much keeping him in the running here, just down ballot. It would help him a bit that Kemp's doing so well against Stacey Abrams that it would keep him going to a runoff and preventing Warnock from getting over 50%, which is crucial for his campaign. He needs to avoid Warnock getting to that magic number. In the state of Arizona, Mark Kelly is one of the Democratic incumbents who is showing a lot of strength still. I mean, still Blake Masters struggles to try to lead him in the most Republican-friendly polling. And Mark Kelly's still showing a lot of strength with independent voters. He's ahead with independent voters in most polls. So I still think Mark Kelly's going to pull it off. So the red wave kind of stops a bit in the Senate race here. In Nevada, most polls show the Republican up by 1%, which it could go either way because in Nevada polling, sometimes Democrats are just underrepresented in the polls or underestimated, and sometimes they outperform the polls in Nevada. But so far, Laxalt's going to be holding that margin. And in the Senate race, I would say Republicans could do better in Georgia and Arizona if they had better candidates in both those races. They could even flip them. Georgia, they might even still have a chance to flip. We have to see. But if it goes to a runoff, I would be nervous if I was Herschel Walker. I really think the turnout thing, a lot of African American turnout's going to happen in the runoffs like it did last time. So that's one thing I'm nervous for. If I was him, I would be nervous about it. So in the Senate, I would say, in a way, it's a win for the red wave. I mean, I wouldn't really call it a red wave. I would call it just a red tide, I would say, for the Senate in terms of that. Now, in the governor election, here's my new prediction. I think in Oregon, they're going to edge out the Democrats here. And in a way, in the governor elections, they could have done better in Michigan and Pennsylvania, but they did pretty good. They managed to flip in this prediction. Nevada, Oregon, Kansas, and Wisconsin. So they flipped 4 governorships in pretty much a lot of swing states, especially Nevada and Wisconsin. They hold Arizona, which is very important for them. They hold Georgia as well. DeSantis wins probably by a landslide in Florida. They defeat Beto O'Rourke in Texas. The only spots that really miss the Republicans and hurt them is in Michigan and Pennsylvania. It would be great for them to win these states, but still, I would say in terms of the governor elections, that's pretty much a red wave for them. They do pretty decent in the governor elections, I would say. Now, in terms of the House, this map would load. There we go. I still see it kind of holding at 229 to 206. And in the House, it's definitely a red wave for them. They get a pretty decent majority. Even though they have 229 seats. Why does the map show it like this? It's so weird. But still, they get a pretty convincing majority in the House of Representatives. They get almost 230. They really could probably get 230 because there's a lot of races that kind of leaning toward Matt Cartwright's seat. I'm most nervous about for Democrats and Slotkins. They could easily flip both these states because they're pretty neutral / Republican leaning, but they are pretty tough incumbents to beat. But overall, in terms of the House, they definitely get a red wave here. In the governor election, they get a red wave. In the Senate, it's a bit of a red tide, but still, you get the Senate. And in 2024, you get expanded that majority. In terms of like 538 and stuff, yeah, they're very favored to win the House here, just by a decent margin. I think 538 agrees with me on the exact seat amount, which is 229, which is funny. It just ended up like that overall. And in the generic ballot, Republicans are ahead by about 2%. I mean, these last 2 polls, kind of a bit nervous for Republicans here, if you were them, showing a Democrat lead. The race could be shifting in favor of them, but I doubt it. I think these polls are probably outliers. I think the Republicans pretty much really are ahead by about 2% nationwide in the generic ballot. Maybe even, I would probably just say 3% overall, I would say, just judging by how the House races are very competitive, especially Sean Patrick Maloney's seat, which a lot of insiders are saying they're nervous about. And he's in an important position in the Democratic Party as in a leadership position. So overall, will the Republican red wave happen? I would probably say probably yes in a lot of these races. Maybe not in the Senate, but into the governor's races and the House races, certainly. So that's my video on the midterm elections, and I do think a bit of a red wave will happen. It won't be a landslide, but they'll get a majority in the House, and they'll do very well in the governor elections and probably flip the Senate. As of right now, it's a 55% chance. I would give Republicans at flipping the Senate, while the Democrats have a 45% chance. So, that's my video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Like, comment, and subscribe, and bye.